Hi, this is a short little tutorial video on how to use the Sense hat that is attached to the top of the Raspberry Pi here with the GPIO pins you can see on the top here, and turning an LED on and off using Scratch 2 right there on the Raspberry Pi. So you're going to need a couple different things for this. Obviously the Sense hat and an extended header for the GPIO pins. But you also need a little mini breadboard, which I have here. Okay, you see that. You will need an LED, any color, a resistor, that's 220 ohm resistor, as well as these male to female, two of them, jumper cables. You can choose any color you like. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put my phone on here. Makes it a little bit easier to do. First thing you want to do with your breadboard is you want to put your LED in. Now the LED doesn't really matter where you put it, but just for convenience sake, I'm going to put it right on the top. You can see the LED has a, hopefully you can see that, a long and a short leg. You want the long leg. We're going to put the long leg on the top and the short leg below that. So I'm going to put the long leg up on the top and the short leg below that and just plug that in right on the corner right there. The next thing I'm going to do is grab my little resistor right here. This is a bit tricky. Hopefully I can do this. And the resistor has to go on where the short leg is. So the short leg's on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the resistor in here and kind of bend it and push it in right there. You can see it's not great, but it kind of bends over, and I've left space on the corner. So I have the short leg of the LED, or the cathode, the resistor, and then I'm going to plug a jumper cable on that side, and then I'm going to plug another jumper cable in on the other side. So what we need to do now, I'm just going to put that down right there, is I'm just going to swivel this a bit to the right, hopefully, so you can see it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach one of these jumper cables into the bottommost GPIO pin. Now, if you're wondering how do you know which GPIO pin to use, I'm just going to pop this up here, and I'm just going to click on this. And this is actually a pinout for the Sense hat. You can see this top pin right here is pin number 1. So pin number 1 is right there. And then you can see the pinouts for this that can be used are the bottom 8 pins on the GPIO layout. So the bottom 8 pins are right down here, right next to the USB cable. So those bottom 8 pins there can be used as GPIO ins and outs as well as grounds. So if I look at my GPIO diagram here, you can see the one on the left, the pin on the left is the ground. So what I'm going to do is go back to here, the pin on the left, which is this one right here, I'm going to plug that in. You can see that is the pin on the left, that's my ground pin. And I'm going to take my other pin, and you can see that is GPIO 21, the pin next to the ground pin, and that is the pin on the right. So I'm just going to go back here, and I'm going to plug in the pin on the right. Hopefully you can see that. Try and get everything out of the way. Okay, and so you can see the bottom 2 pins have these jumpers plugged into them. Now this one on the right is GPIO 21. So we're going to want the pin on the right plugged into the long leg of the LED. You can see I've plugged in the pin on the right, which goes into the anode, or the long leg of the LED. The pin on the left, right here, is going to plug into the short leg and the resistor to complete our circuit. So I can get that all right, and you can see, I don't know if it's the best light, but you can see that is now all connected and plugged into the GPIOs on the Raspberry Pi. Okay, make sure yours is set up like that, and we will be back in a second.